and make us all think. How are you guys all doing this grand morning? We're going to do some invite. We're going to send out some notices. Let everybody we are back. We are back, you guys. So, sorry we missed yesterday, everybody. We had to go deal with a bunch of this medical stuff with my body. So, and then when I was coming back, this body was in rebellion. So, I was observing some rebellion with this body. So, I needed to rest. So, therefore, I wasn't able to be on like I normally can be. So, I apologize for that. That's kind of probably shook up. So, if you guys are watching this in the morning, then grand risings. If you're watching this in the afternoon, then hey, good afternoon. If you're watching this in the evening, then good evening. And it doesn't matter what time we're watching this, because it all comes together. And that's the beautiful thing about this, energy. It doesn't matter the time, doesn't matter the day. We're all right there. And that's so beautiful, is it not? I mean, come on. You gotta love that. We just gotta send out another invite here. And there you go. Listen, people know we're live. All that jank. Grand risings, how are you doing? Thanks for the hearts, appreciate them. So, it's good to be here. I'm glad I'm not, this body, I'm not even to describe it, but it was glad I'm not observing the body as much as in rebellion as it was. Welcome, Grand Risings. Thank you for joining. Well, let's take a breath together. Let's do that. And go in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let's bring us to a place of relaxation. And just for a moment, let's let everything else fall away. You are here right now listening because a part of you already remembers that there is more. There's more to life, more to yourself, and more to what consciousness can be. So let's open our eyes together, because we're here together now. Hello, American Stoner. Welcome. Glad to see you. So before philosophy, before spirituality, there was awareness, pure awareness. The silent field noticing itself, basically. Somewhere along the way, we traded that direct knowing for language, for definition, for containment. We began to describe life faster than we even could experience it. That was the beginning of the human program, too. And every one of us was born into this. The downloaded script of culture, fear, and repetition. It keeps us safe, makes us small, efficient, but disconnected. It's taught us to survive, not to awaken. So this morning, we're going to reverse the code. We're talking about the nervous system. And, the nervous system, it leads. Neuroscience shows that change begins below belief. And your nervous system, the body's ancient intelligence, updates faster than thought. And you can change the old grooves. That's how I talked about you get to be the author of your story. Because the programs and the things that we went through, the traumas, all that created these grooves in our minds and our brains. It also affects our entire system and bodies. But the thing is, those grooves, they can be rewired, reset. And that's why trauma survivors, they often say, I don't believe I'm safe either, because they haven't gone through regrooving what has been grooved in their minds. But my body feels different. You see, the brain isn't asking, is this true? It's asking, is this repeated? Is this reinforced? Is this safe? That's neuroplasticity at work, experiencing carving new pathways for peace. We get to change the system, you guys. You don't rewrite a story by shouting new lines. That's not it. We're the constabulary officers. Oh, whatever, dude. Nice try, Dewberry. You're kind of being a waste, so we're not going to pay attention. Anyways, you don't rewrite a story by shouting new lines. You rewrite it by living new evidence. You know? So when someone sits still after a lifetime of chaos and feels their body exhale, that's evolution happening in real time. See, their nervous system whispers, I don't have to brace anymore. Healing isn't belief. It's biology. Learning safety again, you know? Hey, American Stoner, I'll let you deal with Dewberry. Pause for a moment with me and let's take a breath. And feel that same whisper move through you. See, science meets the sacred. Quantum physics says reality is a wave of possibilities until observed. And attention collapses the wave into form where your focus basically is what becomes your reality. And we got to pay attention to what we focus in. So your awareness is the observer, right? And every repeated focus shapes your neural wiring, your external reality alike. Gratitude organizes coherence in the brain and fear fragments it. You watch people who start to take their lives that have come from trauma and fear, and they start to remove those ways of being into gratitude and starting to recognize that in every experience there's something to be grateful for. And watch what happens with them. It changes their lives. And I know that because I was one of those people. I remember before I even went through the hospice experience and even went into, the other side and learning all these things, I literally decided that the trauma was so much, the stories of repetitiveness was so much that I wanted to try and find the one thing in each day I was grateful for. And I began to write a journal, and it changed my life. It transformed everything. It was beyond beautiful. See, gratitude organizes coherence in brain, fear fragments it, and the lab calls it resonance. Mystics call it prayer. Same law, different language. So I've watched people awaken this way. So Eli, as a man from the Awaken the Lion Escapes the Matrix, in my second book, and he came to a retreat, skeptical of all of his, all of this. On the third night, sitting by the lake, he said softly, for the first time, I'm not performing. And he didn't even realize it. It just naturally started happening through this place, this retreat, that we were doing things of fun, touching one with nature, removing ourselves from our phones and chaos and the busyness. And he realized, as he's sitting there, sitting on the dock by the lake, he realized for the first time, I'm not performing, because the place of performance was removed. In that stillness, the chatter stopped. His brain waves dropped from survival, beta, to restoration, restorative theta. It was measurable peace. Science met soul and shook hands. That's why you got medical professionals suggesting that if you're dealing with mental health issues, to get yourself into nature. That's why you hear stories of many nomads that just realize that they couldn't handle the sticks and bricks life anymore and went into nature, and it transformed their mental health. And you see many of even our actors and famous people that went into extreme sports of nature, and it transformed them from their addictions and all kinds of things. Because the source of existence and the original blueprint sits there. So let's close your eyes for a moment and just feel the weight of your body on the ground, on the chair, wherever you're sitting. And whisper inside, my body hears truth faster than my mind. And let that become permission. See, we've been taught to ignore the truth. But when you give your body that permission to hear it, then you're not crazy. And you listen. That's the moment the brain changes before the mind. That's the body remembering freedom. Now let's move deeper into the very architecture of the stories you inherit. In awakening, the mind means meeting the programmers themselves. So before you could even choose, you were taught what was possible. Your family, your culture, your generations spoke invisible philosophies. This is who we are. This is how life works. This is what people like us can expect. Thanks, man. My friend got me this hoodie because I needed to get... I'm so tiny, I needed to get some clothes that fit me to keep me warm. And my friend made this for me. It's amazing, right? So no one called it philosophy, but that's what it was. Living ideology, embedded in tone, language, and silence. Most adults never rewrite it. They simply improvise within it. They live their parents' unfinished sentences. Trust me, we've all done that. We've all been there. We've all done. I used to do it all the time. And when I went to the depths of my shadows and the inner healing, I got my own language. See, the first act of awakening is actually noticing the voice beneath the own. And when you hear yourself think, I can't ask who said that. The moment you ask, the trance weakens. This is what sages described for centuries. Now, Plato called it leaving the cave, and the Buddha called it seeing illusion. The Gnostics called it the gnosis, the knowing. The YouTube been going crazy. Glad to see you still kicking it and keep it positive. For sure, brother. And American Stoner, you and me both, girls. Girl, it's hard to be skinny and trying to stay warm in the cold. So true, my goodness. Yeah, man, I freeze my butt off all the time. That's why I chase the sun. So there are cultural programs that possess perception. And the most dangerous ones sound reasonable. Be realistic. Don't get your hopes up. That's just life, That isn't wisdom. You want to know? That's fear made polite. That's what that is. It's a bunch of bullshit and lies. Authorship. Let's talk about that. To awaken is to reclaim authorship, is to write your own philosophy with the ink of lived truth. Each time you act differently, a new script forms in the nervous system. Neuroplasticity becomes liberation in motion. You rewrite the existence when you refuse to impersonate your past. And it's amazing. Trust me, it's like funny because I had my past try to come and haunt me. And you know what? It didn't even come near to haunt me. I just said, oh yeah, I dare you. I looked the wolf in the face and said, I dare you. Life won't go well for you if you come near my tent or come near any of my family's tent. You don't want to mess with the one that's here. See, I would have never done that before. I would have walked away, not said a thing, hid, been scared, traumatized. No, I rewrote the damn script. Fuck that shit. You ain't having this. I rewrote the script. I got myself, rewrote it with being in a better community. Because the thing is, when you rewrite your mindset, when you change the way we think, your relationships do too. You want to know why? Because the ones that you're with, they can't keep being around you because all they can see is themselves. And they'll attack you. So what happens? You got to let things grow. You got to let the rewrite do its thing because it's going to rewrite your entire existence. Understand that. The internal affects the external. You rewrite your existence when you refuse to impersonate your past. And you say, fuck you, past. And you become friends with the shadows. The shadows is the parts of you that segregated and believed the lies that you got told. The lies that were embedded to you by your family, by your schools, by your everything. It was programmed, set up to teach you that. The fallen mindset wants to win. You know, a friend from Return to Eden, Amuri, once said, after decades of striving, I've been trying to earn what I already am. In that line, the entire script dissolves. The ancients call know thyself points here. Self-knowledge isn't mental. It is the direct remembrance that you exist before the program and named you, before the trauma dumped on you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So breathe gently with me. Asking yourself inside, what beliefs did I inherit that's still writing my reactions? And let whatever appears be enough. And now whisper this. I release what was never mine. Each breath of awareness changes neurofiring. That is philosophy rewiring biology. That is Eden appearing in the present moment. Our next descent is into the subconscious, the shadows where these scripts root themselves. Their psychology and spirituality merge. See, awakening is not only light, it's integration. You cannot transcend what you haven't yet embraced. So let's meet the survival personality. This is who you became to stay loved or unseen, to avoid pain or earn belonging. Maybe the caretaker, maybe the achiever, maybe the invincible one, maybe the fighter. They're not your enemies. They were intelligent creations. They built safety when safety didn't exist. The mistake is thinking you are them. You're not them. Honoring the protector. Healing doesn't kill the pattern. It thanks it. Saying, you kept me alive, you can rest now. Gratitude melts defense. And when that happens, people feel lost. See, if I'm not who I used to be, who I am, that confusion is sacred. It means the pen has lifted between stories. Silence there is the womb of identity reborn. The inner child without infantilizing. You see, the inner child isn't helpless. It's unadapted information, and it still reacts as if danger is current. Because no one told it otherwise. Sitting with emotion, you become the new messenger. Happy New Year to you too, man. You tell yourself it's safe now. Every time you breathe through a trigger, you reparent. You let yourself know it's okay. The nervous system gets to know. I tell people all the time, I don't always deal with big crowds and all these things. I am an empath, and so I sometimes need to go outside and recenter and refocus and shield. And this is it. It's giving the nervous system permission to be heard, to reparent. Integration isn't dragging the past forward. It's bringing home the memory longs for the reunion, not erasure. Science of shadows. Neuroscience calls this deactivation of the default mode, basically. Network, the circuitry that loops old identities. So psychology, names it ego. Dissolution. Mystics experience it as a surrender. And all names one process. The contraction releases. So Leah was one of the students once said that I had in my book that I talked about. That wasn't her real name, but she was one of my students that characters I gave in that book. But in real life was a student. And said, I'm not happy, yet I just feel empty. That emptiness wasn't failure, it was space rediscovered. The silence after the storm. That's what the moment of awakening feels like. Not fireworks, room. Empathy changes the brain too. The interior clingingly lights up and bridges self and others. And when love enters, separation quiets. Shadow work. Then it's the nervous system remembering oneness. That's what shadow work is. And the protector becomes purpose. The wounded one becomes wisdom. You take what you've gone, and you now know the wisdom. So you take a hand to your heart and you whisper, thank you. You can rest now. Repetition makes it true. Safety teaches the mind what words never could. Now, having met shadow with compassion, we turn towards the oldest teacher of all, the living earth herself. So I said nature's our original teacher, original blueprint. There's a reason every spiritual lineage sends its seekers into nature. All the tribes, not as punishment, but as to interrupt the mirror. And when no one is reflecting you, something ancient awakens. The nervous system stops performing and you begin to hear the original rhythm again. I've walked deep in the forest for years with no vision, no booming voices, and still return utterly changed, utterly transformed. Why? Because nature remembers you when you forget yourself. It doesn't tell stories, it moves. That is why it heals. And when I crossed the thresholds during my near-death experience, what stunned me wasn't beauty, it was familiarity. As if I had been acting all my life and finally dropped the role and found myself. Awakening feels like that. Not superiority, relief. Like setting down something so fucking heavy. You didn't know you were carrying it in the first place. A living field, everything in nature cooperates through frequencies. Trees communicate underground through mycelium. Hearts synchronize in flocks of birds and schools of fish in human resonance. Your body is part of that field, and when you return to coherence, the universe recognizes you as itself. Spirit is not elsewhere, it is biology remembering divinity. The Gnosis means to know directly. It isn't belief, it is realization. And when you stand in silence and every call, every cell feels alive, you're not visiting God. You are the awareness God is using to experience this moment. The fall from Eden was forgetting this truth. The return is living it again. If you feel resistance right now, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Resistance is the old story protecting itself. So thank it. And then breathe slowly through it. Silence is part of the ritual. Repeat after me gently. I'm not the program. I am awareness rewriting itself in real time. See, let silence do the teaching. That pause is the sound of consciousness reorganizing. When the human program dissolves, what remains is direct expression, pure creative intelligence, wearing your name for a little while. The lion in you was never asleep. It was waiting for permission to stop roaring for survival and start roaring for truth. So take your final breath with me. In through the heart and out through the crown. And whisper, I remember. That single sentence carries everything. Remembering you. You were the scientist and the mystic, the philosopher and the child, the guardian, the garden, and the one who left it only to find it again. This is escaping human program. This is the science of spirituality awakening. Thank you for remembering with me. And I'll meet you again where silence speaks first. So make sure you do one thing towards your dreams every single day. It brings you one step closer. Make sure you recognize you're valuable and you matter and you're all unique puzzle pieces, a part of the ultimate puzzle of the cosmos. Peace and love. We'll see you guys next time. Tomorrow.